Zenless Zone 0 1.5 in 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Alright, there's a good amount of stuff they added in this update, but I'm going to try and cover it as best as I can. I think we'll get right into it with the new characters. First off, we got Astra Yao, Ether support, buffing, and healer character. She seems pretty good. Basically, she'll use her special attack to dodge, and it doesn't matter if she enters or not, she can still use it. She'll dodge and enter this buff state, where basically she will be singing and buffing all of her other party members. And you can still dodge and it won't cancel it out. And so when you actually switch off of her, she will actually stay on field and continue to buff, but she'll become invulnerable, so she won't be able to take damage while you are switching to a different character. You can also hold her skill, which will actually have her do some damage by attacking the enemies. And then if you quick assist from this or switch another character basically, it will actually give them a chain attack by consuming her own personal charges and give them a little bit more of an attack buff. I don't really understand the usefulness of this, but if you hold her basic attack, you can also exit the buff state. And her ult is kind of like all of her skills mixed into one plus some healing. So when you use her ult, it'll start healing the party members, but it'll also give you that same effect as holding her E, where it'll do some damage from off field and buff your party members, plus giving you those extra chain attacks from quick assists. Alright, so next up, Evelyn. I am going to be honest, her kit kind of confuses me, so I'm not going to talk like I'm very qualified about it, but I'm just going to give a quick overview. From what I can tell, she's some kind of a fire DPS. She kind of groups enemies and buffs herself actually a lot. She has a lot of nice passives to buff herself. So she's just kind of a fire DPS that groups enemies. I don't know too much, don't really understand the kit too much, so I'm going to leave that to other people to talk about to explain her better than I can. There's also a new bangoo snap who will take pictures or snaps whenever you do something quote unquote amazing and accumulate those snaps, so when you switch or chain attack into him, he will use those snaps to deal damage to the enemy. And now probably the only thing people actually care about, here's the code for the live stream. I'll also have it down in the description below if you want to copy and paste it. Alright, so on to the banners of 1.5. We're going to have Astra Yao in the first half alongside her weapon, as well as a rerun for Ellen alongside her weapon. Now for second half, we're going to have Evelyn and her weapon, and then a rerun for Qingyi and her weapon as well. They're also releasing some new outfits, one for Astra Yao and another one for Ellen, as well as one that we're going to get for free from the event, which is for Nicole. And then they also showed us some gameplay of them walking around with them, which I think they look really, really good. Definitely going to probably get that Nicole one. Alright, so on to events. First off, right off the bat, they're giving us 20 free wishes for just logging in, which is sick. They're also going to be giving away 10 free bangoo poles. There's also this event where, from what I can tell, it's just you dress up your like you drip out your bangoo and you're doing a bunch of mini games. Like there's this Dance's Revolution one where you're like, you know, kind of dancing off against another opponent when you're dressed up. There's also adding bangoo spleef. It seems like it's just gonna be Fall Guys, like a bunch of fun mini games. I think it's gonna be awesome, like Fall Guys with this. They're also doing a fishing event. I think it's literally just fishing, but there are some good rewards, and you do get like a custom name card for completing this event. But from what I saw, it's literally just a fishing event. Also, a new arcade game is being added. It's called Mach 25. I think it's basically just like Subway Surfers, Temple Run, like type of deal. More like Subway Surfers because it's got all the power-ups and everything. They are also adding multiplayer Bazaar Brigade, which could be very toxic, very fun, who knows, but new multiplayer to Bazaar Brigade. So some updates to the arcade. They're also doing an arcade event where you will get rewards for just playing arcade games. So playing more arcade games, you know, kind of like the past ones we've had, we'll get some tokens for doing a lot of arcade events and getting some extra poly, you know, like the past arcade events. This is another event where they're going to just be like taking pictures and stuff in combat. Kind of whatever, but kind of cool. Take some cool photos. But yeah, it's a picture taking event, but combat. They're also adding some kind of new Hollow Zero with like souped up enemies basically, and you'll get rewards for it. But as far as I can tell, it's like souped up enemies, and there'll be like new attacks for characters and like different buffs for specific characters. Like you'll see Ellen here has this weird like specific special attack for it. There's also today's recommended film. It's just another like a quiz, like another quiz type of event that we've had in the past. You know, just one of those quiz like ones. Answer the right questions, you get rewards. Our goat, Sajal, is back. Sajal is back in the house, here to give us some free poly. So we use battery charge and we give her our old batteries and she'll give us some stuff. This one was a little confusing, but I think it's like a visual novel elements kind of mixed in with Candy Crush, something like that. So it's just kind of a Candy Crush game and you have some interesting interaction with the characters, something like that. Also, just double drops. We love to see it. It's like whatever, just double drops. So we'll get some extra drops, extra materials. They're also updating Notorious Hunt, so you don't have to like deal like the earlier enemy waves. You can just go straight to fighting the boss, which is pretty nice. You'll just go straight and fighting the boss, none of that. Like just some nice quality of life changes. Also, just another little quality of life update. They repositioned some dialogue boxes, made things a little different, but just nice to hear. You can now select like more than one wallpaper and like shuffle them, which is kind of cool. Kind of like whatever, but they're adding some nice quality of life, which is really cool to see that they're adding all that quality of life stuff. All right, so there's also new endgame content. It's like kind of Abyss, but not really. It's like you're going, progressing through in floors of 10. So every wave is like 10 floors basically. So if you fail a wave, essentially you go back to the first of that. So you go like if you failed 69, you go back to 61, like they're showing. Um, and your agent's HP will fully be restored every single wave. And you'll also be, as you progressing, getting buffs, but each buff comes with also it's as well a separate debuff. So you have to be careful about what you're choosing. And it just looks like some interesting endgame content. It's very early. There's a lot. I can't really wrap my head around the whole thing, but seems like interesting endgame content. One more thing I almost forgot to mention: if you reach floor 50 with no damage taken, so like for really hardcore players, if you can get to floor 50 with no damage taken, you get like a little medal called Demon Lord, which seems interesting. All right, and lastly, we are getting a new Ellen story, which is super cool. Um, and then for the main story, it's gonna be kind of just centered around Astra Yao. There's some kind of plot happening. Somebody are targeting her, something along those lines. As well as there seems like there's gonna be some kind of New Year's event, or New Year's story going on. I'm assuming that's gonna be centered around the events and everything that's happening. But overall, seems like an interesting update. Seems like it's a good amount of stuff. I just wanted to real quick mention how I honestly think I think this game obviously is not perfect yet, but the developers from watching the live stream, they seem to genuinely care. There's a lot of stuff I cut out of this, which is like a lot of like very minute quality of life details that they changed, which I just didn't really think. I'm trying to get a brief overview of the update, so I didn't really think it fit in very well. I wanted to real quick just say it like it's really cool to see the developers genuinely seem to care, take a lot of feedback, and a lot of the quality changes, live changes are really nice to see. So if you actually want to see those, I would watch the full live stream to see all the little details they did, but none of them were really that important. But yeah, 1.5 seemed interesting.